Barbara Feldon and Don Adams made TV history together, but they didn't talk much when they weren't on TV. Agent 99 is finally telling everything now that he is 91 years old. The boss who wanted her to leave, the fake spy she married, and the terrible reason she left Hollywood. This is the sad story behind America's favorite spy comedy, from hidden drug use to stolen money. Barbara Feldon was born in Bethel Park, Pennsylvania, on March 12, 1933, as Barbara Ann Hall. She grew up with her parents and older sister Patricia in a quiet country neighborhood. Father worked in the paper box business, and Mom took care of the house. Barbara had a spark of creativity. She loved the arts and being on stage, but she didn't know how far it would take her at the time. She became very interested in acting very quickly after discovering it in high school. The Pittsburgh Playhouse is a well-known school for young actors where she trained for hours. She got better, and when it was time for college, she picked Carnegie Institute of Technology to study theater. The school is now called Carnegie Mellon University. It was one of the best theater schools in the country, and she had learned a lot about acting by the time she graduated in 1955. Not only that, but she was also involved in college life and joined the Kappa Gamma sorority Omega Psi. Feldon's focused, almost hypnotic stare was one of the things that made her stand out on screen. That was what made her shows so special. She didn't learn this in acting school, though. It was really because she was short-sighted. The way she directed her eyes gave her a natural, attractive look. Some things that might have been a small bother in her daily life turned into one of her trademarks as an actor. In 1957, Barbara Feldon moved to New York City with the goal of becoming an actor. She worked hard and was talented, but like many newcomers, she had trouble finding jobs. She worked as a showgirl at the Copacabana bar to make money. She also did in a new production of the Ziegfeld Follies. She felt better about herself on stage because of these jobs, but they didn't help her reach her goal. She couldn't find many acting jobs, so she had to find another way to make money. Then they met by chance, and everything changed. She met Gillis McGill, a famous model, at a party, and she told her she should try modeling. At first, Feldon wasn't sure. She didn't see modeling as a real job. It was just something she did for fun. She tried it because McGill told her to. She began as a model for designer Pauline Trigear and quickly moved up in the fashion world. Made her a great fit for the business. She soon started going on photo shoots and making a lot more money than she did when she was an actress trying to make ends meet. Modeling did more for her than just make her money. It helped her feel good about herself and showed her how to use cameras. She learned how to use lighting, style, and her attitude to show who she is in public. In the future, these skills would help her a lot. That same year, Feldon did something he didn't plan to do. He went into TV. That's not true. She won one of the most famous game shows at the time, $64,000 Question. Shakespeare was her subject of choice, which was a risky move since she had only average grades in theater classes in college. But she was set on it. She studied for up to 14 hours a day. When she finally went on the show, her knowledge and poise wowed the crowd. She won the big prize, but on the $128,000 Question a few weeks later, she missed her chance to double it. She became famous for a short time after the win. Her story was in newspapers. She and her husband started an art gallery in Greenwich Village with the prize money. The store focused on abstract expressionist art, but it had a hard time making money, even though they worked hard. Her husband went back to work in advertising after a few years, and Feldon was once again looking for new chances. Then something happened that would make everything different. She was cast in an ad for Revlon's Top Brass Hair Pomade, which is a product for men's care. The ad was easy to understand. Feldon laid down on a tiger-patterned rug, looked at the camera, and called the men in the room tigers. It was fun and hot, and it wasn't like anything else on TV at the time. The spot got a lot of attention. A lot of people talked about it, and Feldon was called Tiger Girl. It was both fun and annoying to be the center of attention. The ad made her well-known. The money was great. She once said that one spot made her more money than the whole season of Get Smart. But casting directors thought of her as only a commercial performer from now on. She got small parts on TV shows like Flipper, 12 O'Clock High, and The Man from U.N.C.L.E. Still, she wasn't getting the part she wanted. Then there was a call I didn't expect. The people who made Get Smart, Mel Brooks and Buck Henry, had seen her in the Revlon spot. But they were interested in more than just how pretty she was. They saw something else. Good looks, personality, and the kind of charm that could work in a comedy. Leonard Stern, one of the show's directors, later said that they were interested in Feldon because of how sensual she was in the ad. Some people didn't think she was right for the part. Because she had promoted a competing product, one of the show's backers didn't like it. Their CEO told her she had to be fired after only 2 weeks of shooting. Feldon fought it. She said that the commercial had already been shot a long time before she got the part. Revlon even decided to show it no longer, but it didn't seem to make a difference. She wasn't able to make the choice. Then something strange happened. NBC would not give up. She stayed on the show. After a year, Get Smart was a big hit, and the CEO who had tried to fire her asked her to pose for a picture. She smiled for the camera because she knew she had won. But this wasn't the only problem she had to deal with. At that time, playing Agent 99 was already pretty strange. In the 1960s, women were mostly written as antagonists or high-level spies. If they were doing something, they were usually in trouble and ready to be saved. Agent 99 was not like the others. She was smart, skilled, and always ahead of the game. Maxwell Smart, played by Don Adams, was called the top agent, but everyone knew who really did the work. This weight wasn't a mistake. Mel Brooks and Buck Henry, who created the show, wrote Agent 99 to be a mix of the traditional woman of the 1950s and the more independent woman of the 1960s. To protect Max's pride, she let him take charge sometimes, but she never had to show she was smarter than everyone else. She just was. Then there was the matter of height. It was a problem that Feldon was 5 feet 9 inches taller than Adams. In that business, male leads were supposed to be the tallest. She often had to slouch or go barefoot in scenes to fix it. Adams would sometimes stand on steps to make things fair. It was a small thing, but it showed that TV wasn't used to having a strong woman share the focus yet. Even with all of this, the show still did well. Get Smart was one of the best comedies of its time because Feldon and Adams got along so well. Max was clumsy and full of himself, but 99 was always cool and sure of himself. The way they worked together made the show work, and people loved it. Barbara Feldon told a strange story about Don Adams once. It was rare for him to practice. Most artists spend hours practicing their lines and every move, but Adams just went with the flow. Because he was so good at timing, he could make a pretty ordinary joke into something really funny. He didn't just talk that sharply because that was how he was. He got the idea from actor William Powell, whose fast delivery had a beat that he liked. Adams had full faith in himself on set. A lot of the time, he changed lines or jokes at the last minute to make them funny. That worked well for the show's mix of funny and clever jokes, but some people had trouble keeping up. Barbara Feldon thought he was talented, but she also said it could be hard. He threw things into the scene, and she had to respond in real time. Some group members and directors liked structured rehearsals better than Adams, who liked things to happen naturally. It worked out. For Get Smart, he won 3 Emmys in a row, showing that what he felt was right. Adams and Feldon worked well together on TV, but they were never together in real life. In the beginning, their interaction was professional and even a little formal at times. Adams was married for most of the show, and Feldon had her own life outside of set. She once said that since they came from different worlds, it was impossible that they would fall in love. But they became good friends over time. When they got back together for Get Smart, they were closer in 1989. Fans may have wanted them to be together, but the only way they were really connected was through trust and respect for each other. It wasn't always easy to work on Get Smart, especially since Mel Brooks and Buck Henry were in charge. They had high standards and wanted every joke to be just right. The stress made the show great, but it was also hard work. Feldon admired their brilliance, even when the pressure to do, well, felt too much. She really liked the way they wrote Agent 99. Most 1960s shows had female characters who were friends or lovers of the male lead, but 99 was different. She was smart and could do things. Always on the same level as Maxwell Smart. He did this even when he messed up tasks. Just the right amount of everything made Get Smart stand out from other comedies. Feldon's favorite show was The Impossible Mission. It was from 1968 and had all the things she liked about the show. It was funny, action-packed, and even had a rare love moment between Max and 99. Max tells her that he would have liked to spend the rest of his life with her if things had been different. She sees it as a proposal, which adds an emotional touch to the humor. This episode also had one of the best jokes in the whole show. Mission Impossible was popular at the time, and Get Smart took it and made its own. Max gets directions from a tape recorder that destroys itself, just like in a spy movie, but with a silly twist. One of the best parts was when Max and 99 changed their appearance to hide from Chaos agents. Feldon got to dress up as Charlie Chaplin and act out a scene from a silent movie. This gave her a chance to show how funny she was. She loved how the episode had both funny and romantic parts, which is why it stayed a favorite long after the show finished. Get Smart Right Now is known as one of the best comedies on TV. Don Adams always knew when to act. To Agent 99, Barbara Feldon added beauty and smarts. And the show's writers went beyond what you'd expect from a sitcom. It's still funny after all these years, which shows that good entertainment never really gets old. Barbara Feldon had a problem she didn't expect when Get Smart stopped in 1970. People knew her as Agent 99, the part she played for 5 years. But being famous cost them something. The movie business couldn't see her as anyone else. They only saw the smart and stylish spy, no matter how hard she tried to move on. Because she kept getting cast in the same roles, she didn't have much work for a year after the show finished. She made people laugh, even when she was trying out for serious parts. The scene didn't have to be funny. People thought of Agent 99 as soon as she walked in. She didn't stop moving. Cheers and Mad About You were just two of the hit shows she was on as a guest star. In a Valentine's Day episode of Cheers, she played Sam Malone's love interest. She played a former TV spy in Mad About You, a role that was clearly based on her own life. It was fun playing these parts, but they didn't change anything. They helped people remember where they knew her from. Back then, the entertainment business was different. It wasn't as easy for actors to go from TV to films back then as it is now. Her fame had made her feel trapped in a part that was now holding her back. She tried to get into films, but nothing was as popular as Get Smart. She was in the movie Fitzwilly with Dick Van Dyke in 1967. The movie was a funny one, and she played a girl in love who got caught up in a heist. The movie did okay, but it didn't make her famous. In the 1975 movie Smile, she played a cold and self-centered beauty queen head. The movie was good, but it didn't make Feldon feel like a new person. She was in other films like No Deposit, No Return, but they didn't change how Hollywood saw her. Time was a part of the problem. During that time, most films had male stars. Women didn't have many good jobs. She also never really made a choice to live in Los Angeles, which hurt her chances in movies. She didn't think about what she couldn't change, even though these things went wrong. She did the things she could. She had steady work as a host and in voiceovers. In the 1970s and 1980s, her voice was heard in ads for Revlon and other names. Along with entertainment news shows, she was in charge of big events like the Tournament of Roses Parade. Voiceover work kept her in touch with people without the problems that come with being typecast. She learned over time that she liked doing things that were quieter and more artistic, like writing. But how famous she felt was one of the most surprising things she ever said about her job. She didn't mean to become popular, so it was strange when it did. She said it was like living the life of someone else. She never thought of herself as a star, but everyone else did. She knew that fame could go away just as fast as it came. She wouldn't let it define who she was. The way she thought affected the decisions she made later. So she wouldn't have to look for jobs. She left Hollywood and focused on writing. She wrote a book called Living Alone and Loving It about being independent. It touched people, and they loved how honest she was. She was once one of TV's most recognizable faces, but she never let her fame get the best of her. She made a happy life for herself instead, one that had nothing to do with being Agent 99. Barbara Feldon's love life was full of passion, sadness, and, in the end, finding herself. In 1958, her first marriage to Lucien Verdoux, Feldon began like a dream. He spoke with a European accent and told stories that sounded like they came from a spy book. He said he was a pilot and even gave hints that he might be a real spy. It was exciting for a young girl who was just starting out in show business. Real life caught up with him quickly, though. Louis had a bad side. He had problems with drugs, gambling, and cheating on his wife. His problem with gaming was so bad that he spent most of the prize money Barbara had won on the $64,000 question, where she showed how well she knew Shakespeare. Barbara found out that the man she had fallen in love with wasn't who he said he was as the marriage fell apart. The charm went away, and sadness took its place. They were no longer married in 1967. Even though they were no longer married, Barbara kept his last name for work. She was well known at that point because she played Agent 99 on Get Smart, and changing her name might have slowed down her business, which was on the rise. After many years, Lucien did something strange before she died in 1991. After he died, she spoke. In spite of everything, she thought of their time together as a journey. Even though it was painful, that part of her life had made her who she is today. She found love again not long after getting divorced. It was this time with Bert Nadella, who makes the show Get Smart. They dated for more than 10 years. From 1968, from 1970 to 1979, but they never got married or had kids. Barbara finally understood that they weren't meant to be together forever. Even though they broke up, the bond they had built stayed. They stayed close until Bert's death, even after they went their different ways. This time in her life was a turning point. She went back to New York City after the breakup. She didn't look for another romance, though. Instead, she enjoyed being alone. It wasn't being alone. It meant freedom. She didn't think being single was a bad thing. Not at all. She saw it as a chance. She was able to grow, try new things, and make deep bonds while living alone. She didn't feel bad about not getting married again or having kids. People have been told for a long time that marriage and family were the best ways to find happiness. Barbara never felt pushed by those standards, though. In conversations, she was honest about how happy she was being by herself. She saw how traditional views changed over time. More people began to believe that someone could be content on their own. That change was nice for her. When she thinks about it now, her trip wasn't just about love and loss. It was about learning about yourself. She showed that other people aren't always the key to happiness. It can come from inside sometimes. Living Alone and Loving It by Barbara Feldon is more than just tips on how to be alone. This is a journey for her that started when her long-term relationship ended. That would be seen by most people as a loss. It seemed like a chance to her. Feldon had been in the public eye for years because of her role as Agent 99 on Get Smart. She learned something important, though, when she moved in by herself. Being with someone doesn't have to make you happy. People are often told that being single means you're missing something. Feldon doesn't agree. She thinks that being alone can be freeing. People can learn new things, try new things, and develop a strong sense of who they are. In her book, she talks about how to stop thinking badly and enjoy every moment of your life. She talks about how freeing it is to make your own plans, choose what you want without having to give anything up, and find out what makes you truly happy. People from all walks of life can relate to what she writes. Young adults becoming more independent and older people getting used to change. She even adds wise words from authors like Rainer Maria Rilke to her writing, which makes it more thoughtful. Her message is simple, though. You don't have to be lonely when you're by yourself. It could be a time of finding yourself and being happy. Feldon has never cared more about popularity than her own growth. Even though Get Smart made her famous, she never tried to be famous. She liked the thrill, but she could also see the bad side. Fame could make you feel alone. She became more aware of what she really wanted over time. She got that from writing, and it helped her understand herself and connect with other people in a deeper way. She still talks about how important it is to live honestly, even though she is 90 years old. She likes things to be simple and to accept herself. She doesn't think being successful means staying in the spotlight. It's about being happy with who you are. One of the most interesting things about Feldon is that she turned down big starring roles. She got to play big parts after Get Smart. They were turned down. She even turned down parts in remakes of Get Smart, like the 2008 movie with Steve Carell and Anne Hathaway. She thought that these projects would miss what made the first one great. In her later years, Barbara Feldon has decided to live a quiet and thoughtful life. She played Agent 99 on the TV show Get Smart. On the Upper East Side of Manhattan, she lives alone in a quiet flat. Central Park and the Guggenheim Museum are both just a short walk away. A high ceiling, wooden floors, and big windows that let in a lot of light make the room look simple and classy. Her personality comes through in this place, which is calm, clean, and cozy. Her plan wasn't always to live alone, but she grew to love the freedom it gave her over time. She wrote Living Alone and Loving It in 2003, a book about being happy by yourself. She was in relationships for years and shared her life and space with other people. But one day, she realized that being by herself gave her a peace she had never fully understood before. One of her favorite things to do became writing. She wrote articles for Metropolitan magazine, and in 2024, her autobiography, Getting Smarter, came out. She talks about what she has learned about love, work, and how important it is to be independent. It's not often that she acts, but she still reads poetry and sometimes joins small theater shows because she loves the creative energy of live performance. The little things are fun for her. She meditates every morning before getting coffee and reading a book, especially the works of Edith Wharton. She loves books very much. She watches Korean shows when she needs a change of pace. They are both relaxing and interesting to her. She is not alone, even though she spends a lot of time by herself. She says that her close friends hold her life together and that she loves and trusts them. Small connections in everyday life are also important to her. A nice conversation with a barista. An easygoing chat with a store owner. These times remind her that deep relationships aren't the only way to connect with people. Just being aware of and interested in the world around you is enough sometimes. When she does go public, it's usually to talk about the work she's done in the past. She took part in reunions for the TV show Get Smart, recorded commentary for the 2006 DVD release of the show, and even came back as Agent 99 in the 1989 TV movie Get Smart Again. In 2019, she went to Supernova Comic-Con and gaming in Australia. There, she met fans and talked about her work. She hasn't been in Hollywood in a long time, but she still has a strong bond with the show that made her famous. At the time, Agent 99 was a rare type of person. She was smart, sure of herself, and just as good as the men she worked with. A lot of her fans have told her how much they love the character and how it showed them that women could be bold and strong just like men. It was easy for people to see her in that role after the show ended, but she has never regretted playing it. But she never just wanted to get smart. Before she was an actress, she had a strange claim to fame. She won the $64,000 question because she knew a lot about Shakespeare. Later, in the 1970s, she hosted TV shows like Special Edition, which showed that she could do more than just read lines. She changed with her career many times, but she always got better. Even though she is 90 years old now, she still lives her life the way she wants to. She has made a world that is creative, peaceful, and full of depth. Her days are spent writing, reading, and enjoying the little things that are nice about living her own life.